Hey, yo.
Let me talk to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
It's time for the Other Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts, Tim, Dave, and Jeremy.
The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. They're not available tonight. They're on tomorrow night. So you get us. It's me, Tim from NWA Gold, joined by my partner in crime, Dave Scooby. How are you, sir?
Doing well.
Good. Let me know if my mic is too loud. I'm having mic problems. I'm trying to adjust it. But welcome. Yeah, sound okay?
Yep.
Yeah. Welcome, everyone, to the Other Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information around the National Wrestling Alliance. We are without our friend Jeremy wrestling with the MMA tonight. He's feeling a little under the weather. And so Dave and I are on our own. We're glad to see you guys here. Can see a number of you in the chat right now. Willie's here. Let's start with Willie because he's always first in the chat. If the Bengals used Tyrus' wrestling outfit to protect Joe Burrows, they could have been Super Bowl champions. Yeah, it reminds me of that old joke about, I'm on the front four. You are the front four. Anyway, good to see you, Willie. Tyrus is certainly a big dude. James Bell is here. Howdy back to you, James. Nice to see you here. Can see more of you in there, so please speak up in the chat. We'll get all your comments and questions in tonight. Listen, what we're talking about on this episode tonight, the Champion Series theories is a discussion that we're just going to have very briefly right off the top, but we'll be doing our regular deep dive into NWA USA. We'll be touching on NWA Power from this past week. Both of those shows presenting some action from the Champion Series, which has been pretty exciting. What have you been thinking about it overall, Dave?
It's interesting. I'm just waiting to see where everything goes and who ends up where.
Yeah, interesting is a good word. It's been exciting in comparison to some of the things we've seen in the end of this past season, right?
Definitely, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, new and different, and there's some good possibilities there. So after we do that, if Jeremy pops on later, I imagine we'll do UWN results. Dave's going to talk about the fantasy booking of and new NWA hires, Joe Alonzo Jr. and Missa Kate. Let's start with that. That's some nice positive news in the NWA this week. And Joe Alonzo and Missa Kate, both young talents with some skill. I knew Kate only by name. Chicago Sweetheart, I think they called her a while ago on the Indies. I find her very impressive, and even the last couple of pay-per-views she's been an outstanding competitor. And also, Joe Alonzo didn't come into my particular radar until he wrestled Scion for the first time, and I know he's wrestled him twice in some quality matches. What are your impressions on both of these?
I'm glad that they're actually scooping them up and making them feel part of the organization. That it's not just, hey, I wrestle here, I wrestle there. That they're getting paid to wrestle and be a NWA talent. Right. Now, I believe they're able to wrestle outside as long as it doesn't interfere with any of the NWA bookings, but I'm hoping that in doing that they're pushed as NWA talent, and in their promos, hey, you can catch us on Fight or you can catch us on YouTube, something to build up and get some more followers.
Right. I hope that too. It's not something that we've really seen too much of to date, but and I know that just reading from what Joe Alonzo put out there, he is a true independent. He can still wrestle, as you point out, in other promotions. I'm sure it's the same with Missa Kate. Um, it's funny. Joe really manifested his own destiny here. It seemed like every day on Twitter he would write, "I, Joe Alonzo, will sign a professional wrestling contract," for months and months. And just one day, a few days ago, in all caps, he said, "I, Joe Alonzo, signed a professional wrestling contract." That's great to see.
Oh yeah.
I know he had Robert Anthony in most of his photos. He was in the room as well when he was signed. So it's great. It's great for both of them, and really, really hoping to
And
see.
I do believe that Kerry Morton signed an extension, or actually is under contract to the NWA. He as well, I guess, is able to wrestle outside of the NWA, and being that he is the junior heavyweight champion, defend that belt outside of the NWA. But I mean, you got to lock them up. They're all in their 20s. Kerry just turned 21. Missa Kate is, I'm not sure. I'd say at least mid 20s, and Joe Alonzo is mid 20s.
Right.
So even if they're signed for a year or a 2-year contract, they move up in stature, that they're starting at the bottom.
Right.
But I mean, you have to start somewhere. And rather than being quote unquote enhancement talent or jobber 1, jobber 2, they now have a name and hopefully a story that you can follow.
Yeah, and we have in the NWA, we are our I say we, but our favorite promotion is that place to start at. We've talked about before how we're like a college, or not a college, a minor league sports team. We're going to get the young guys on their and girls on their way up, and some of the older guys, gently easing themselves out of their career. And it's great. This is exciting stuff. So hopefully we'll see lots of great things for them ahead. Samar is here. Thank you so much for popping in, and Jay is here as well. Good to see you guys online.
Yes.
Yeah. Willie points out, hey, listen, say a prayer to Barry Windham in recovering for surgery. From what I read last or watched, I think Bray Wyatt put it out that he was walking around and talking, and he's looking like he is recovering well from his surgery in the initial days that have followed, unless something has happened in the last little while that I'm not aware of. So definitely all the best to Barry Windham, one of my absolute all-time favorites when I was a kid watching wrestle. What a stud that guy was.
Yeah, he just no BS, just hit the ring and just thundering blows.
Big, strong kid, and he made it look effortless.
Oh yeah.
So one of my favorite moments as a kid, as a Barry Windham moment, if you'll allow me a mark out moment, is when he won the world championship and Flair brought it and slapped it around his waist, and then they had that look, that moment at each other when you thought, oh, where's it gonna go? So very, very cool. Samar says, I enjoyed Brian Pillman Jr. versus Kerry Morton NWA Junior Heavyweight Championship match at the Ricky Steamboat. Wow. I should have paid more attention to Steamboat's return. I think I was probably flared out, if you know what I mean, in that particular kind of environment. I would have liked to have seen that. I'll have to look that up. And James says, in the recent Potting with Ego, they discussed some of the details of his contract. Yeah, I believe Missa Kate's on that show as well. I haven't heard it, but yeah, so cool for them. Let's talk the Champion Series while we're we're here. We have the Champion Series that has returned. It has brought some a fresh surge of. I'm gonna hesitantly say, not hesitantly, but I'm gonna cautiously say excitement into the NWA. It was getting a little, tired in spots at the end of last year, and it seems like the Champion Series to start off a new year really gives some incredible possibilities about what can, who can end up where, who gets a shot at what belt, and really what feuds develop. I find it a bit difficult to follow in terms of who's on what team. I don't know if you've sourced them out any more than I have, Dave, but who do you figure is going to be the winning team when all is said and done?
I'm not really sure. I mean, there's some that I'm like, yeah, I could see them winning, but I'm looking at like Team Pretty.
Right.
You have Murdoch. You have Pretty Empowered.
Mm-hmm.
Rhett Titus, he can go for cut a few pounds, go for the junior heavyweight, or go for the TV title or the national title. I mean, he's about 225, 230. He's not heavyweight, but I think he could hang with just about anybody in the ring.
Yeah.
And I mean, if Pretty Empowered wins, it saves the tag belts. Because right now, that's what the NWA is missing, is women's tag teams.
Right.
So that would keep them protected for the next 6 months or a year or however long they decide to run the Champion Series. If I was running it, I would say the winning team a year from this date, you have a chance to turn in your golden ticket.
Right.
But after a year, I mean, it's one of these things. It's long-term storytelling. But if you go too long, you forget about things. That everybody is so used to short-term booking. Let's build this storyline. Do 8 months. You have 9 months from this date, or you have a year from this date. I would just say a year, because that would give you time to build up a good storyline for any of those belts.
And it would be nice if we had some longer storylines than what we traditionally have been seeing in the particular Lightning One era.
Mm-hmm.
Along those lines, I don't want to see Tyrus lose the title. I think the only thing worse than potentially having a guy let's just be honest without trying to throw shade on the champ. Arguably the worst wrestler in on the list of NWA World Champions, arguably also the most media savvy and with the most pull in the modern world. I think the only thing worse I was going to say was then taking this risk and having it not pan out is ending it early. So I don't want to see him go down. I want to see him flatten a bunch of people right up until 75.
Yeah.
So if we could get, a storyline around Tyrus and start putting someone in the background as a phase, a Tom Latimer maybe, or someone that we've talked about it before, who's a great person to slowly run up over the next, 6 to 9 months at the title. That would be ideal.
Plus, whoever the winning team is, I'm not going to say anybody, but they can be challenged for that golden ticket.
Right.
That, I mean, if Tom Latimer, if Brickhouse is out of the picture, Team Brickhouse, but Tom wants to go after the national championship or go after the 10 pounds of gold and go after Tyrus, he can challenge whoever the winning team is, and whoever that person is, it can change hands. I mean, Velvet gave it to Tom. Tom gave it to Tim Storm. Tim Storm gave it back, passed it along to Angelina Love. She ended up losing her chance to Chelsea Green.
Right.
So it's one of those things that they can pick and choose who the winner is, and you don't have to look bad in losing if it ups the stature of where you are on the pecking list.
Yeah. And part of that too might be looking at one of the teams that we might not think too much about in terms of the front runner to win this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But like Team Rock and Roll, which has Mims and Dak Draper with Kerry Morton, there's three guys who are, I would think, would be considered to be, Kerry's been elevated, but sort of at that mid-card status.
Mm-hmm. And they can go after any of those belts.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I know that Willie, who's in the chat, loves Dak Draper, and what's not to love, really. There's some real talent out there in the Champions Series. So, Media M5's here. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. And just to go back a sec, James said, talking about Joe Alonzo and Missa Kate's contracts, that every 6 months they get reviewed and earn raises. So it's not just, it's an interesting contract. They talk about it where the higher you end up on the card, the more money you can pull in. So if you're able to, really get yourself over and get elevated, you can make more money. I think that's pretty cool. I know that's contingent on management, but hey, what isn't when you're working for somebody, right? And Samir says, I'd hate to see them put Tyrus over Cardona, to be honest. Well, to each their own. That's the Alliance family way. I think Cardona's done. I love how he tweets with his desperation around the title, Dave, and how he has to get it back and save the NWA. But I think that the Cardona experiment is over, and I don't think it's coming back. How about you?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, there's word that Chelsea is headed back to the WWE, but they're holding it close to their chest in saying we're done completely on the indies.
Right.
That, I mean, they have bookings through next year, and the right thing, even if you are contracted back to the WWE, let them fulfill.
Yeah.
Let them do it. And I mean, like, VSK is also in AEW.
Yep.
Mike Knox, who knows? I mean, he can always just be basically a heater for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it really hurt that Matt did get hurt and lost the title. I would have liked to have seen where they would have gone with it, with him having the title.
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think we're getting back there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of the world title, if I can shamelessly plug this thing that's hanging on the back of my chair right now. Hey, listen, follow me on Twitter. I'm at NWA Gold _ right now. This is a replica, bootleg, premier NWA World's Heavyweight title, obviously. I am giving it away in a contest that is pinned onto my Twitter page. So if you want to go there, again, at NWA Gold _ and follow the instructions in the pinned tweet. It's about renaming the NWA Gold brand. You can win the belt. We got until the 28th, so there's 2 weeks left, and then there's been a lot of responses and suggestions so far that I'll have to go through. It'll take me a week or two to pick a winner.
Are there any that you particularly like?
There are two that I love. I won't reveal them, but yeah, there's two that are great. So and I'll pull you and Jeremy and Jay and everything as well and say, hey, what do you guys think? But there you go. Willie says Jack Stain versus Tyrus would be a great match for the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. Can you imagine Dane versus Tyrus at 75? I mean, that's two heels, but I don't know how. I don't know if I've ever really seen Dane face. Have you?
No, not really. I mean, even if he was a face, he doesn't have the look of a face.
Right.
If people can understand that, he just always looks like he's pissed off about something.
Yeah, it's that Stone Cold Steve Austin look.
Yeah,
It just always looks angry, regardless of what side of the fence he's on. Well, I'm enjoying the Champion Series right now, and who can end up in what particular spot
mm-hmm.
as we go along. Dane was featured this past week on Power, which we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. About when we look at the highlights, it was kind of a cool promo where you just let Chris Silvio talk the entire time, and I actually really dug it. But we'll get to that. Let's go and talk about NWA USA Season 5, Episode 4. And this starts off, this is December 10th, this past Saturday. And this starts off with something, Dave, that I thought was a really helpful. Well, we didn't get the first week of the Champion Series, where they started talking to the heads of the 4 teams out of the 8 that would be featured tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Tyrus, Camille, Scion, and Jay Bradley from the Fixers, representing Team Tyrus, Team Brickhouse, Team Great, and Team Fixers. And it really, we do over time get to see the members of their team speak for the first time as well. I thought this was really helpful in a bit of a week late. I don't want to throw stones because they did it and that's great. They've corrected it, but it made it a lot easier to say who was where and who's on what team. Did it help you?
Definitely. I mean, last year I believe they had one episode where all they did was pick the teams and basically say what the rules were. They could have done that and knocked it down to maybe a 5-minute overall. This is what's happening. Here are our first 4 captains, and here's some of the members. If they didn't have all the members picked out, that's cool. But here's some of the members on Team Great. Here's the captain, Scion, with his co-captain, and then maybe name 2. We'll give you the rest of them on our on media.
Yeah.
Or on social media, just something like that, where they could do that and push people towards other NWA avenues.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So they're not having to tell all the story all at once. And I believe that's one of the things that may have happened, that they weren't sure who all was going to be there and who all was on each team until after they had done filming.
Right. And I think it's a great idea for different avenues too of social media. Like you could say, you want to know who the alternates are for these teams and who picked what? Tune in to see Gary and Will on the live stream with Joe Galley and Danny Deals and this is the Pro Wrestling Podcast. And
yep.
If they could spread some of that love around, it might be good for them.
Yeah.
Tyrus talks about. Everybody has comments of each. Tyrus talks about his team. Camille talks about her team, and how it is that they're going to win. But the first match of the night is comes directly after that segment, and it's Kyle and King for Team Fixers. You know what? And there are points to this too. And I'll be honest. When it came to the points, when I was watching it, I'll trust that everyone's adding everything correctly on the NWA side. But there were points coming into this. Team Tyrus had 8, Team Great had 7, Team Fixers had 2, and Team Brickhouse had 1. I did look that one up. So we had Kyle and King from the Fixers versus Angelina Love from Team Great. To my knowledge, it's the first time that they've faced each other inside an NWA ring.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pretty good match I thought for Angelina Love, in trying to show, she's got that veteran edge to her. She can't seem to get the pinfalls going. King ends up with going for a crossface, and Love escapes that. Love takes shoots a crossbody off the top rope at one point. King escapes from that. King comes back, lands sort of a Death Valley driver for a 2 count. And then in the moments that follow, Angelina Love attempts the Botox injection,
Mm-hmm.
the kind of the running kick that gets blocked, and King flips her up into the crossface. Love transitions into the Koji clutch, and King barely escapes that. And I was like, this is pretty good from these two. I haven't especially loved Angelina Love's work in the NWA since her arrival. I thought she was solid in this. Love nails the lights out, goes for another one of the Koji clutch, and King fights through it, transitions that back into the crossface. Love's looking around at the end. She's trying to find the rope, and King just cinches it in, pulls her way back, and she taps. So it's 6 points to the Fixers, who end up with 8. What did you think of the match, Dave?
It was a very good back and forth match. It kept both of them strong, being that Kylan is bigger than Angelina size-wise, but you have the size versus the experience, and just this time the size won out. And I mean, it kept Kylan strong. I did notice that she's also been at the, I believe, Impact tapings. So I'm hoping that we do some crossover with Impact in the future. And if she has to choose sides, I mean, it's up to her. But I'm glad that she's getting a chance elsewhere. Yeah. She's doing great in the NWA, but she's already gone up against Camille, and there's really no other place for her to go unless she gets a tag team partner.
Right. Yeah, and that's, I mean, Impact will be a good place for her to spend her time when she's not in the NWA, but who would she tag with?
I'm not sure if she was in a tag match or if she was in a singles match, but I saw somewhere online that she was actually at the Impact tapings.
Yeah, okay.
I believe they were the ones down in Florida where she lives, so she was, I guess, local talent, but a chance is a chance. She has the size and the ability, and more power to her if she moves on, or if she's able to work both. I'm still hoping that NWA and Impact can do crossovers and possibly do one big pay-per-view.
Yeah, that'd be great. I guess the only problem with that is we don't want our guys ended up jobbing out to theirs, and that's sort of been a problem in the past.
Yes and no. But I mean, if you look at it, I'd say at least 25% of the roster of the NWA also wrestles for Impact.
Yeah.
So it's one of those of, hey, they're outsiders, but I also wrestle with them and against them when I'm over here. What's going to happen? Who knows? I mean, it could tell a good story if they decide to do a joint pay-per-view, which leads to having to choose sides, where it's almost a, are we WCW or are we NWO?
Yeah, I would love to see the forbidden door as they've been referring to it. The AEW, I guess, is kind of almost owns that name now, but I'd like to see it open up and recognize, hey, because the NWA has said that former Knockouts champion, right, or current Knockouts champion Mickey James is on the show or whatever.
Yep.
So I would like to see it go both ways. I think that would be great. Samara would like to see Angelina Love versus Camille for the NWA Women's Championship. Sure. Why not? She's been around for a while. She hasn't had a great win-loss record, Angelina, in the NWA, but that's really not been her role. But to Dave's point, she was left looking really strong in this match. So, why not? Kylan's had a couple of shots at it. Willie says, Dave, that there should be a crossover with Impact, and think about it. Taya Valkyrie is wrestling with both. Yeah. Hey, I'm going to forget. I already forgot it earlier. I saw on social media this afternoon, I just had a moment to check it out. Kylie Ray, Smiley Kylie, posting some pictures of her appearance, I think in AEW as Brianna Ray, unless it's WWE. Maybe it's WWE. But just a massively packed stadium with her name across the Tron, and good for her. It's been a while since we've seen her around, and other stuff that she's posted on social media this week just shows that she's doing really well, and really gotten some stuff over together in her life to be able to rise to where she is right now. So good luck to her and all the best. We miss her in the NWA. Death Dolls, Rosemary and Jessica Havoc versus Pretty Empowered. Sure, man. Yeah. I'm all for this crossover. Keep them coming, guys. That's for sure. After this match, though, we get and just for the record, I'm a little behind my time with an incredibly busy week, so I am actually using the rundown from Tommy Martinez in SlamWrestling.net this week for most of my notes, anyway. So shout out to Slam Wrestling and Tommy, who does a nice recap on that site. We get some comments from Tyrus where he says, Tom Latimer can't even captain the relationship that he's in, let alone his own team. His wife clearly wears the pants in this particular family. Camille has a nice shot back, Dave, where she says that Tyrus is great for talking his ass off on TV, but TV ratings and political viewpoints don't translate into being a team player, and he's going down. I think it's pretty good banter from both of them.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's short. It leads us into a masked man match, which is the question mark 2, which I would have preferred not to have seen this season around. I thought maybe we could have the man under the mask, rather than the gimmick continue to exist out there. But it is not meant to be. Question mark 2 is with Team Brickhouse, and he is taking on Carnage from Team Tyrus. I expected this to go differently than it did. because of the push that Carnage and Damage have been getting as blunt force trauma, I
Mhm.
expected this to go Carnage's way. This was a mostly a big boy hoss fight. Um, Carnage is the kind of guy who's very agile for his size. We've seen him in the NWA before. He has a hell of a drop kick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, looks great. He's a big man. Um, and so there's a lot of back and forth, uh, question mark to question mock, as we often call him. Um, he does some of that karate stuff from the past that I don't know. It was good for me when Josephus was doing it.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I don't want to see this happening. There's a power slam by Carnage after he tries to rip off the mask. It's only a 2 count. There is a well-timed Mongrovian spike that knocks Carnage down. And question mark 2, to cut to the chase, is going to go for a pin. Camille gets up, and apparently you're not allowed to come near the ring. So, as it happens over the next couple of shows, they keep warning people away. But she calls an audible, as they say in football, and she hands him not hands him. She makes a number 6. She wants 6 points, if I remember it correctly, and he blocks on the Mongrovian something, a rear naked choke. I don't know what they call it. Carnage taps out, and I
Yeah.
thought, okay, well, I can see how points need to be close and keep
Hmm.
things ahead, but uh, maybe the damage to that Carnage takes here is not so bad, since he's in a tag team and
Yeah.
he's a singles here. What did you think of this?
I was thinking the same thing. A loss doesn't hurt him, being that he is a tag team wrestler. It continues the story, unfortunately, with blunt force trauma and question mark, but it evens him up from the attack, the backstage attack that happened a few weeks ago when he was teaching his students.
Ah, yes.
So I mean, it sort of evens it out, and I'm hoping that down the line the story finishes itself.
Well, can't be too soon. I've clearly blocked it out, since I didn't even remember that happened. Um, yeah, Samar was saying, yeah, like having that crossover with Impact would be fire and decent promotion for Pretty Empowered, for sure. BFT is the next NWA Worlds or United States Tag Team Champions. Yeah, I'd like to see US first, but there you go. And media says that vignette I enjoyed with question mark 2 in teaching karate. Hopefully, question mark is dead and done. I don't know. Here we are, still talking about question marks.
Yeah.
There's a sign above my desk at work that I occasionally point to with my employees. It says it is what it is. So I'll do that here. We get Jay Bradley and talking about Team Fixers being the best in the Champion Series. Kylan King says she has doubts about their genius level or overall intelligence, given that they declared I think it was a 500-piece puzzle done after 300 pieces. And then Angelina Love says that for Team Great, that if they were to go to Canada, they'd be sent back where she's from. They'd be sent back quickly. Okay. But that takes us on to Missa Kate, the recent signee, as we mentioned, versus Marty Bell. There was a moment in this that stuck out for me when probably everybody when Missa kind of slapped her gum out at Marty, and Marty went into that fiery ballistic mode that she does. I thought that was pretty cool. She really after that spit wad, she really takes Kate to the cleaners. Kate ends up coming back with some stomps to the spine and a pretty stiff kick that in covering Marty only gets a 2 count. They're throwing live rounds, as Slam Wrestling that likes to say, and Kate nails a roundhouse kick for just a 2 count. There's some back and forth. They head outside where there's a rope assisted drop kick from Missa Kate to Bell on the outside, and they're both fighting out there. The ref starts the count out, and Kate gets back into the ring at the last second as Marty misses the count out. I thought this was another case like Damage, Dave, where they were both left looking pretty strong. No one's really beat here. What did you think?
Once again, like you said, they both looked strong. It was just time and moves. Everything didn't connect. They got their points, but they didn't make each other look bad.
Right. There's 2 points for a count out. Team Great gets 10 points to move on to the second round, we're told. And again, it's not super clear to me. I thought what really would have helped, or maybe for next time they do the Champion Series, is to have a running scoreboard of the teams that are in the corner, so you could always see it and you could think, all right, it matters here if they win this or they don't, win, rather than just, oh, so-and-so's out. And it takes us to so the Fixers are eliminated, I believe, if I'm reading this correctly from my own notes. We get the main event, which is a tag team match of Kayla Cassidy, and I'm sorry, guys, I'm just going to say who?
Yeah.
Kayla Cassidy and Allison Kay versus Samantha Starr and Maddie Rankowski, or Maddie. Dave, before we talk about it, have we seen Kayla Cassidy before, or have I just forgotten her?
I think she's wrestled 1 or 2 matches, but she's a newer wrestler within the last, I believe, 6 months.
Okay.
She may have been either at Crockett Cup or at 74.
Yeah, it rings a bell.
But she's a newbie, and I mean, I'm glad that they're giving newer wrestlers a chance.
Yep.
But when they end up doing tag matches with wrestlers that are actually tag wrestlers, but they're not with their original partner, it shows the friction. And I think that's good, but I also think it's bad depending on how you look at it. I mean, it can further a story along of, oh, they're irritating each other, but we're on the same team, so we have to play by the rules. Well, AK doesn't play very well with others unless you're one of her circle of friends.
AK don't play, as they say.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was certainly the case here. They argue right off the bat. I will be honest. It wasn't entirely clear to me about what, but I assume about who was going into the ring first. And so Kayla Cassidy was kind of playing a very sort of arrogant persona. She's going to do all the work. She's going to get this win for the team. Eventually goes over to Allison to tag, who declines. She just nopes that tag.
Yep.
And the match ends up kind of continuing, where Samantha Starr is going to be a work in progress. She is serviceable, um, and her partner Maddie is also pretty decent. Um, what ends up happening this one in the end here? Uh, there is a Allison Kay eventually gets into the ring here, kind of cleans house. She goes for this. I think they call it a straitjacket choke, um, and then ends up releasing it and goes back into this Boston Crab she's been working on. As Cassidy knocks Maddie off the apron, and then the time limit expires, and 2 points are awarded to each team. So what this means is that Team Tyrus and Team Brickhouse have an equal set of points, and only one can go on, and they have to go into a tiebreaker. And I thought, oh, that'll be cool. How are they going to do this?
And then you're like, oh,
yeah, exactly. I just saw Fonzie water skiing over the shark there.
yep.
Media, to your earlier point, says, yeah, it'll show friction that the partners, tagging with others. And it's bad. It is bad due to you will see how inexperienced one is inside the ring with their ability. Yeah, so you get the friction, and you get to see how they each react on their own, because they're not going to be gelling together, and they're going to be individual wrestlers. So, yeah. Willie would like to see more wrestlers from Wildcat. I think that's a great marriage. I enjoyed the Rumble that they had 2 weeks ago. I thought that was a nice pairing with Wildcat. I know you went down to New Orleans, Dave, and I think you enjoyed the experience overall.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's some great talent there, not the least of which is Jay Spade that we hope to see soon. And then Samar earlier had said, I would have left the question mark thing back to that tribute match at Back for the Attack pay-per-view last year. Yeah, it's just, we talked about it to death, but it's still going on, and it bothers me for reasons that, you know what, I'm just going to let it go. I almost think at this point the best thing to do is just to. This guy won when it comes to these particular matches for question mark, because I largely just don't care. So we go to the tiebreaker, which will be Team Brickhouse's alternate, who is Jeremiah Plunkett.
Plunky, yep.
Plunky, friend of the Alliance, and who has been on this show with Jay in an interview this past year. I enjoy seeing Jeremiah. He's a coach. He plays his role with the Ill Begotten very well. Great choice for an alternate versus Rolando Freeman, Team Tyrus. And I maintain that there is something to Rolando in a particular role. I'll say that every week. I think the feisty manager who interferes and, when the ref's not looking, maybe comes off the top rope with a drop kick or something. But in his constant wins over everyone that he faces, it is depressing to me. It makes me sad. When I saw this, like Dave said, oh, that's not going to be the best thing we've ever seen. It's the usual Rolando match, guys. It is the match that shows where he's outside, but he fights back like a little dog against a big dog. And there is a number of 2 counts throughout this particular match. It ends, however, when Rolando essentially if I can say this bluntly, and you might think differently, Dave, essentially kicks Plunkett's ass in the last half of this match. Goes for this flying headbutt that he hits off the ropes. Gives him the biggest boot, which is hilarious. That's the name of it. And he pins him for a 3 count in the center of the ring. My favorite part of this match was watching Tyrus going, as his team goes on. And kind of like, yeah, I'll shake your hand outside the ring. What did you think, Dave?
I know they're going with the Rolando storyline, but it's just, I can suspend belief only so far. That I realize Plunkett isn't top tier, high level wrestler, big name star. He's playing a part, but he's too good to be playing this part.
Right.
That, I mean, unless there's one hell of a storyline to come out of the Rolando stuff, I'm over it. It was funny when they did the first ha-ha. Oh, he beat him, then he beat him again. Matt already beat his ass. Why is he coming back? Why are they pushing him again?
Yep. And why isn't Rolando Freeman the number 1 contender to the World's Heavyweight Championship right now?
Yeah.
If you want to push it that way, why isn't he? I mean, they even had Billy come out several weeks ago and I am naming Rolando Freeman. No, I'm just kidding. Get out of here. What do you mean? You're pushing him as a guy who wins all the time. He should be the guy getting the shot. Media agrees with you. It's a mockery. I'm going to go back to media here. As for Rolando, if you notice, though, yes, it makes you sad, but if you look, you can see slowly the change in Rolando getting his butt kicked more before the upset, though it's all is still the same. It's like a Rocky movie, and I get the appeal, where he just gets beat, and then he makes the comeback. He goes the distance, and look, at least in Rocky 1, he didn't win. It's just silly at this point, and I'm with you, Dave. I'm over it. I think media had said it. I didn't care for that when there was a close up on Tyrus. I think that's what he was saying, and I wish that the captains were a tad more vocal. So deep down, maybe Billy feels people are going to explode if Rolando is the number 1 contender. We hear things. Oh, I'll put this one too. It's time for Rolando to get his ass handed to him and put on the shelf like a Raggedy Ann doll. If you were going to do that, Trevor Murdoch's that guy for me. Make it a 60-second match, if that, right? But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think this will continue until the NWA's bored with it, and that would be the same for anything else.
Yeah.
It's Billy's show, and it's his call. And I don't know if this stuff ever gets back to him when you and I and Jeremy.
They put the spectaculars together, but Rolando's getting the shine, and the spectaculars are just there. It's pick one or the other. If he's going to be a manager, you have a manager's license. Well, a wrestler can't be a manager, and a manager can't be a wrestler. So just pick one or the other.
Their manager stands in front of them and leads them in the butt slapping dance, and he's the star of the show. And Rolando and Brady Pierce are 2 guys who have futures, but the Spectaculars are never going to be anything with Rolando standing in front of them, sucking at all the oxygen in the room. That's my particular take anyway. Samar says, just keep Rolando as their manager, build them up like we were saying. Willie agrees. If you shake hands with Tyrus, make sure you got a turkey leg in your hand. Okay, Willie, you only get one. You get one per show. So that was the show. Rolando saves the day for the world's heavyweight champion and his team. That was USA this week. It was a silly ending, as we say, but hey, it is what it is. Let's go to NWA Power. Let's talk about the highlights for this season 11, episode 5. This is the second week for the Champion Series now. So there are some new teams tonight that are being featured. Team Rock and Roll, which is led by Kerry Morton, with Ricky as the captain's assistant. There's Team Pretty, which is Kenzie Page, and the assistant to Kenzie is actually not Ella Envy, it's Aaron Stevens, which is fun. Was it captained by Ella? Is it both of them?
I believe. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'll have to check.
Yeah. Team Rebellion, co-captain, I think it's Mecha Wolf, and co-captain by Bestia. And Team Gold, which is led by Jordan Clearwater, the NWA World's Television Champion. And by the way, with Jordan Clearwater, Jeremy's not here tonight, and we wish him well. I'm sure he'd be all over the news that, if I read it correctly before I came on here, Jordan Clearwater is no longer the UWN World's Heavyweight Champion.
Yep.
So that's interesting.
Danny Limelight.
Danny Limelight with the Alliance rub from J-Cal.
Yep.
Goes over on Jordan Clearwater and takes the UWN World's Heavyweight Championship. I said worlds. That's just a habit. Congratulations to Danny Limelight, a big friend of Jay's in the Alliance. So, but anyway, Jordan is our World Television Champion, and he's co-captained by Magic Jake. We get some words from them. They have these armbands now that helps determine like what team that they're in. And Tyrus says something about, it doesn't care if he's wearing red or pink or whatever. It's gonna get done. But we start off with a tag team match. This was pretty interesting. I really wanted to see this one, and it came right off the top, guys. Trevor Murdoch, our former World's Heavyweight Champion, along with the professional Rhett Titus as his tag team partner, versus Big Strong, and they're with Team Pretty, which is funny. Hey, look, I'm no model. I'm no Mercurio. And they are taking on Big Strong Mims and Dak Draper from Team Rock and Roll. This went pretty much exactly as I thought it was going to, but I still enjoyed it regardless. Mims and Titus start out. They go back and forth. There's some wrist lock action from the professional as he tags in Murdoch. And he gives a sound beating to Mims while he's in there. Mims ends up getting like a pretty big slam and an impressive splash over the former champ. There's a near fall over Murdoch. He looks good. He looks strong. No pun intended. He tags in Draper, who I didn't think was at his best this particular match. The numbers game ends up catching up with him as Titus and Murdoch work together to double team Draper a couple of times. This, of course, goes back and forth given the guys that are in it. There is a near the end, Mims distracting Draper and Titus landing a boot in the corner for another 2 count. Actually, I'm going to roll through it. I've forgotten that we're doing power and we're just doing highlights. There was a lot of power from Murdoch. There was a lot of power from from Mims, and everybody I thought looked pretty decent in this. It ends with Trevor Murdoch hitting the top rope bulldog and getting the pinfall over Mims for the 3 count. What did you think of this to start off Power?
I thought it was a very good match to start off Power. It's one of these things of Mims is almost always there. He's reaching for the gold ring, and he's just always missing it by that much. Now he's the good guy, and I think down the line he's finally just going to get fed up. And if a turn is what it takes to get him to that next level, I'd love to see that.
I'm with you, man. He needs something. Since he went down at that pay-per-view, and I can't keep them straight, when he was going to face Tyrus, we thought many moons ago when that was going to happen, this is the guy who's going to dethrone Tyrus. You know, the time was right, and something happened. We don't know if he got injured in that match because he was out for a while, but it didn't happen. And there was a interview many months ago now. Nick Aldis had used Mims' first name. We called him Matty Mims. His name's Matthew. You know, Matty Mims is in the back there. He's great, blah, blah, blah. And they did an interview with Mims where it was one of his first ones and it showed us he was a very well-spoken guy.
Oh, yeah.
Good on the mic, clearly intelligent and well-spoken. He even had a set of glasses on that made him look a little smarter. And I thought, what a great persona it would be to have Mims as like first of all, the name Mims doesn't pass the, what does Cornette call it, the title test or something.
Yeah,
it doesn't. Be Matthew Mims. That's a good name. And you know, to have him as like the intelligent monster, as the you know, I used to call all this the thinking man's wrestler. I think that would be such a great persona to elevate him. Almost like, if I can sheepishly do like a Marvel movie comparison, someone like Beast, who has the brain and he has the physical ability and the strength. I think a heel turn would be great as well. I just like to see that. You know, I'm tired of all this nonsense. I'm gonna you know, do better for myself. Let me just see here what's happening there. Okay. So Team Pretty, 5 points, early lead in the series for them. We then get Jack Stain versus Chris Adonis. Jack Stain is, I believe, with Team Rebellion. Yes. And Chris Adonis is with Team Gold. Really glad to see Chris Adonis back in the NWA ring. By the way, let me just back up here before I get into this one. Samara says, you know, hey, speaking about that, the UWN title change probably. I'm hyped about Danny Limelight versus Eddie Kingston at Red Carpet Rumble. Man, I'll tune in for that. Hook me up. Luthez is here. Hello, my friend. Good to see you. Media says Intelligent Monster is Keith Lee. That's not going well either. Okay, if I didn't mean any copyright infringement, I don't watch AEW, so I didn't know. But I like the idea. I like the trope of giving Mims a certain level of elevated, intelligence. But anyway, what the hell was I talking about? Oh yeah, Chris Adonis back in an NWA ring. Not that he, I guess, had ever gone away for too long, but I was a bit worried when I didn't see him for quite a while. Sorry, Jay. What does Jay say? It's Jay. Let me know if you want me to upload Danny Limelight video into the studio. Yeah, sure. That'd be great. Thank you. We this is a great clash. Jack Stain against Chris Adonis, and this one ends with. So they have this thing in the championship series. I get that there must be a need to have a different set of points. You can get DQ'd with 1 point, and then there's an extreme DQ for 3 points, which is how this one ends. When Jack Dane, if I remember correctly, kicks Adonis backwards in the old Sacola, and ends up, getting the disqualification. So Team Gold are awarded 3 points. The story here, however, was hey, there he is. The story here is Adonis going for the master lock several times, and Dane clearly, afraid to be in it, doesn't want to be in it, but there you are. And how he gets out of it is the mule kick back through the groin. I would have liked to have seen it end better, but I get, again, here's keeping two guys looking pretty strong. Your thoughts, Dave?
It did keep both guys looking strong. I'm glad that Adonis is back. I hope they use him better this go around. He's at the point where he's a known name. He can help the under talent develop. That any win or just a good match with him, even if he takes the win, a good match will up anybody's value with him,
right,
in battling him. So I'm glad he's back. I hope they use him a little better. He doesn't need to go after a title, but it wouldn't hurt to build someone else if he did have a title and then lose it. Or find somebody that they can tag him up with and go for either of the belts.
Yeah, I think that would be fun and give some credibility to the to those belts. I think Jay has uploaded this. Feel free to just jump on if you want, Jay. Here's Danny Limelight and the video Jay was just talking about.
Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Bobby.
Look at that, boss. He's putting over the Alliance.
Yeah, man, you got to get it when you can, right?
For sure. You're getting it all over the place right now, from Pretty Empowered and Sal the Pal.
The way I see it is this: we have influence. We are the Alliance. Let's get that out there. Let's let more famous people than us say it.
Yeah, for sure. That's a cool video. You're gonna have to string some of these together and make a video package just to put everything over.
Yeah, it's in the works. We have some fun things in store for the new year. I mean, this I don't know if you guys are planning to go next week as well, but there will be the pre-party, but there won't be an Alliance guys next week. So just a programming note.
Okay, next week is the 21st. I don't know, Dave. I'm not doing anything. How about you?
I'm free and available.
People will want to get away from their families, like I will. So it will be a welcome break.
On Thursday, we're celebrating Christmas in my house, and then we're flying away to Cabo San Lucas. So
Wow.
I won't be here for Christmas.
Nice. Well, congratulations. That sounds awesome.
Well, thanks, guys. I'm going to jump off. I just wanted to throw that video up there. I didn't mean to halt the show. I just thought it was a cool video.
Yeah, very cool. Thanks, man.
No problem.
Talk soon.
Bye.
Later.
Oh, bye.
So, yeah, preach, boss. So cool. Very, very cool. So, yeah, your winner via disqualification was Chris Adonis. Jack Stain disqualified with the extreme disqualification. some members of Team Rebellion are not especially happy with Jax, who basically, in awesome Jax fashion, does not care. So, were some promos after this from Ella Envy and Kenzie Page. There's one from Aaron Stevens. So they're giving us some background about how it is that it's gonna go. But we do get Alex Taylor, Team Rock and Roll versus Luke Hawx, Team Pretty. This one goes differently again, and I love it when it goes differently. And like I like to be surprised when Taylor delivers a cradle and shockingly for me pins Luke Hawx in 1, 2, 3 right there in the middle of the ring. So way to elevate Alex Taylor, I thought, and I enjoy both of these guys. Your thoughts on the match?
I was surprisingly. It surprised me. I mean, I'm not sure where they're going with Luke, but I mean, you have to build up some of the younger talent, and sometimes it's at the cost of some of your mid talent or even upper talent. Sometimes you have to look the other way, and it's one of these things of both of these guys are in tag teams, but right. Luke has been pushed with PJ for so long that it may be one of these things of he's so used to being a tag team wrestler, he's always looking for that hot tag.
Right.
That explains why he's not winning these singles matches. Whereas Alex Taylor was a singles wrestler, was put together by, I guess Danny was put together with Plunkett as the ill-begotten. So you go from a singles wrestler that is now a tag wrestler, and then you go from a guy that is now so used to wrestling tag, he can't win the match that he needs to win.
Right.
So it's one of these things of, I'm not sure where they're going, but I do know that Luke has a plate full of wrestling, stunt work, movie work, all of that, and I mean he's keeping very, very busy. So the loss really doesn't hurt him. In my eyes, it doesn't.
Sure.
Because he can play either side. He can do the singles, the tag, the good guy, the bad guy, whatever role you need to have him do, he can do it for you. But I was very surprised. But I think they may start pushing more of the under talent just because they have to. You have to build stars. They don't have to be superstars, but they have to be somebody that you're willing to tune into and watch week after week after week, whether it's on your A show, your B show, a pay-per-view, or a live event, whatever.
Yeah. Speaking of stars, and it is so nice that they are starting to do that more than they have been in the past. Although I don't think they've ever really been negligent about it, but it is good to build some stars now, and always. Did you see La Rosa Negra in the amongst the crowd that was watching?
I saw her in the crowd. I thought it was her the first week I saw it, and I'm like, no. And then I saw a picture that I think Luke posted that they were at an after dinner after they were done.
Yeah.
It's him and PJ, and it's like, So I'm very interested to see how she is, because she's a no-nonsense wrestler. And I mean, she trained with and has wrestled against Thunder Rosa and Genocide.
Yep.
I mean, she's used to wrestling size and just basically just beating the hell out of each other. That her and Thunder, they just chops were given. It's just it's a fight to them. It's real.
Right.
They know who's going to win, but we have to make this look real, or nobody's going to believe it. That I mean, they can build her up as the next challenger down the line for Camille.
They really can. They did it with, the other way around, but they made Thunder the most important piece of talent in this company for the year that she carried it, and as you say, they're similar wrestlers with great aggression. So, yeah.
So, I mean, just depending on who they want to push and how the Champions Series plays out, I mean, there's one or two people that can either go for paybacks if they end up losing, or if they end up winning, they have a chance at a shot at whatever belt. So you're building up contenders with this championship series, and you're building up storyline for 6 months, 8 months, 10 months down the line. I was held back by being with this team. Now it's just you and I one-on-one.
Right.
So we'll see where it goes. But there's a chance that the NWA can build some new stars, even if they're here for 2 or 3 tapings. If they do the tapings smart and the pay-per-views smart, they can build some talent over the next 6 to 8 months, and all it will do is help the NWA.
Really looking forward to that happening. Lou had said that I was figuring that Luke's movie work schedule is why they didn't pick up the tag titles in New Orleans. I think this is Jay just coming back again, but sometimes it's hard to tell because we all have sort of the same account. But I know Luke wasn't very happy about the decision to keep the titles on La Rebellion. Oh, dish. Yeah, well, neither was I. That broke my heart that night. I thought we were done with the Mist. It is him. It's Jay. Apparently, it's Jay. Or it's someone saying they're Jay. And yeah, as Samar was saying, like Lou is definitely looking forward to that. He's talking about the change in the tag team titles. So they're in my hometown and put on a really good show at 74. Yeah. I think it's a matter of time. I know watching it at the time, I thought, you got to be kidding me! Right there in the hometown, it's perfect. I was texting with Jay, and he was kind of cackling at the time, going, "This is great." I was hoping that they just didn't riot down there, Dave.
Yeah,
you were there. Yeah. But anyway, we'll see what happens as it goes on, and I think it's another one of those matches. It's about the 4th one we've seen this week, where everyone's left looking strong. Because I do look at Luke, even though if you look outside the way he's presented in the NWA, he's a singles guy. He has been a tag team guy with PJ, I think, primarily. And Jay was hoping that they would. I don't know, man. I'm not putting that on the screen. Anyway, we go right after this surprising and win, at least for me, of Alex Taylor. Good on him. to backstage, and I'll go a little bit deeper on this than normal, with Jack Stane and Chris Silvio, and what his actions mean for the Champions Series. And Chris Silvio just starts in. He does all the talking, which perfect. I have no problem with Dane on the mic, but Silvio on the mic, it's just tremendous. He's like 3 points. Number one, the master lock's illegal, and he cites some people have had necks broken, and it's a hold that was slapped on Jax that he managed to overcome. Number two, Jax don't care about points because the Champion Series, like the team, is not Jax Dane. Jax Dane is the team here. And lastly, everyone in the NWA is going to find out why the Dane event is the winningest champ in NWA history, which I don't know how to look that up. But the fellow who wrote for Slam Wrestling Nut, Tommy Milagro, said on a scale of 1 to Rudy Giuliani, it's not completely batshit insane to say that legally. So, yeah. I don't know. I mean, does it stand up to, whatever scrutiny that statement says? I don't know. But Chris Silvio is a great mouthpiece.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we do, after some trash talking that goes on. Let's see what Lou says here. I've been in a wrestling riot. I got drop kicked from the Kiel Auditorium ring. I was 12. That's not good. Fun, yes. Wise, no. We get some of the Team Captains, Team Gold, and Team Rebellion trash talking about stuff. They make some predictions, and then it's on to Colby Carino in the main event against AJ Kazana. Your winner here via submission, and we'll let the original Alliance guys go into power more thoroughly tomorrow night, is Colby Carino, as AJ Kazana ultimately passes out after a really good showing in a decent match against Colby. And passes out in the crossface. I think it was a crossface chicken wing, and that ends up giving Team Rebellion 6 points as we go to the credits. I know tapings happening where they were, and what's happening with Colby since then may have maybe they would have gone a different way. But AJ looks strong. Colby looks great. What did you think?
I was surprised that Colby did win, but I'm not sure team-wise if his team will go on. It did keep AJ looking somewhat strong, being that he passed out.
Yep.
But I'm also looking at the team that AJ is on. He's on Team Gold.
Right.
So if push comes to shove and Jordan overspeaks, you cost us so many points, you did this, AJ would be a great person to go after that TV title if they don't continue him as a tag team with Anthony Andrews.
Right.
So who knows? I mean, you have it's a lot of the teams are strange bedfellow teams. Their members are working together for the benefit of the team, unlike Jax, who is just doing it for himself.
Right.
But like I've said before, there's quite a few people that are being, I'm not going to say made, but their stock is rising. That they're getting wins here and there, or they're not losing in a pinning manner. It's a draw. Hey, both teams win.
Right.
There wasn't a winner or a loser. Let's just go our separate ways. That if they do this the right way, they're slowly building people for the future.
Yeah.
And a lot of these teams, you can have storylines that go for the next set of tapings or the next pay-per-view, that the blow-off from the championship series is the next pay-per-view.
Right. And that's really the best thing from the Champion Series, what you're saying, is building those stars for the future now.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the times when they are getting beat, when they are being pinned, Alex Taylor pins Luke with a surprise cradle out of, after just getting his ass kicked for a moment, right? And
Mm-hmm.
just out of nowhere, he's pulled out the win. Or Angelina Love has the best match, I think, so far she's had in the NWA with Kylan King. She takes her to the limit, and she's reaching for that rope, and Kylan is already exhausted and cinches that thing in. She's got a tap, right?
Yep.
So everyone's looking great. It's nice to see. I hope it's a direction that they continue. What was your highlight from Power this week? What did you think the best parts were?
I mean, I like the opening tag just because of the guys that were in it. That you have several new guys, and I mean, Rhett is one of my personal favorite wrestlers.
Yeah,
he can do it all. I mean, he can wrestle. He can fight if need be. He does the submission stuff. He's just a good, well-rounded wrestler. But I mean, you put him with Trevor. My God, it's almost a Mutt and Jeff team.
right.
But I mean, it's just together. I mean, they're just almost unstoppable. But I mean, I did like that. But I mean, Mims is still growing. Dak is still growing. It's a learning match for them. And I mean, I hope that Mims is able to one of these days break out. But I mean, he started off as enhancement talent. He was in the very first match on Power.
Right.
And if you go back and look at that, he was not in the shape he is now. He's worked his ass off to get where he is. And I mean, I'm only hoping that he stays with the NWA if this is something he's wanting to do, that in a few years he can be built up to TV champion, national champion, and down the line, he's a future heavyweight champion if given a chance.
You heard it here first, everybody. Yeah, definitely TV. I wouldn't want to wait too long to get him. I would like to see him as TV champion. I don't want to hurry Jordan Clearwater along, but down the road, I think that'd be great. For me, the highlights were just what you've been saying. It's just the feature overall, everyone looking stronger, and really the way they've started elevating some people overall, I thought was great. Was good to me too. We have not heard Rhett Titus speak before today in the NWA, to my knowledge, and but seeing him speak, I thought a couple things. One is like, okay, well, if he becomes the talent, having like a focus, a featured guy in the NWA, like we kind of feel like he might be, having won the Revolution Rumble in the Wildcat co-produced show, he needs a mouthpiece, but maybe a Chris Silvio, but it's nice to know that now
Mhm.
because it's nice to hear that Red Titus has a voice.
Oh yeah.
And that, we saw Missa Kate talking on it. And the Champion Series has also done that as a highlight for me, like given just a few seconds of airtime, to some people who desperately need it because we haven't heard from them.
Hmm. Definitely.
All right, you ready? You ready to book?
Yes, I am.
All right, here we go. I love it. So tonight we are talking about with the recent signees Joe Alonzo Jr. and Missa Kate to the NWA. Which once again, congratulations to those two. And how you'd book them into, into their futures, into the NWA.
All right. Let's start off with Alonzo. He manifested his signing. He is from the Chicago area, is what I found. A trainee of Robert Anthony. And if you know, you know. He is young. He's 25. He'll be 26 next year. And to me, he has an arrogance about him. He's cocky. He's almost, he's like the beginning of a Colby Carino.
Right.
And if Colby is gone, here's somebody who can step up and not step into his shoes, but at least follow the footprints and hopefully down the line become a Colby Carino. He can go in the ring. He can talk on the mic.
Mm-hmm.
He just has to be pushed the correct way.
Right.
He's definitely not a face or a heel in my eyes. He's a tweener. It depends on who's across the ring from him.
Right.
But he has wrestled Scion, the great Scion, and he kept up. It's just experience.
That's right.
I mean, them signing him, I'm not sure for how long, but he is under contract. He's able to wrestle outside of the NWA, but I believe when NWA has tapings and or pay-per-views, he's under their thumb. So it's good to see that the NWA is finally signing some younger talent.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we'll see a push. It doesn't have to be a large push. It just needs to be baby steps until they figure out what direction they want to go with them.
You wouldn't push him, I don't imagine. Maybe you would, back into the national title scene. Would you? Where would you aim him at? Does that work for you, or is there another target?
I had looked around. I found his age, but everywhere I looked, I wasn't able to find his stats. How tall is he? What his weight is? But him standing next to Robert Anthony, who I know is over 6 foot.
He is.
He looks to be 5'9", 5'10".
Yeah.
A couple inches shorter. He's muscular, but he's not overly muscular.
Right.
He's conditioned.
Great word.
He's not bulky, but he's lost his baby fat. He's not cut, but like I said, he's conditioned. He can go. So I'm thinking push him towards Kerry. And even if you have Homicide there, have Homicide be an influence on him. If Homicide doesn't go after the title himself, have him be not so much a spokesperson for him, but somebody watching over his shoulder. and helping out. Hey, let me help you out. I lost the title to him. This is what I would do if I were getting in the ring.
Right.
But I think Alonzo being signed, he's wrestled WWE enhancement, AEW enhancement. He's not a well-known wrestler, but if you know who he is, you know who he is.
Right.
The NWA has a chance to build on that and get new eyes on their product. Now, with any of these signees or anybody with the NWA that is wrestling, when they're not wrestling with the NWA, they're out on the independents. But the way the taping schedule is, they can be in the ring. Hey, catch me this Tuesday on Fight TV, or if you're a cheap ass, you can go on YouTube. Blah, 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 blah. I'll be on YouTube, NWA Power, YouTube Friday, but you can see us on Fight Tuesday, the original show.
Mm-hmm.
These new signees have a chance to build something with a young company. And I'm saying the NWA is a young company because they are just strictly that. They're not a governing body.
Right.
They're slowly working with different outside wrestling companies, but they're their own company. So they're building for their future. Same thing with Missa Kate. She's just been in, I believe, around 5 years as a wrestler. She can be pushed. They pushed her as singles. Right now they're pushing her as a tag team. They had a flare-up. Then they went against each other, her and Maddie.
Yeah.
Now we'll see where it goes. That who knows down the line. I believe Maddie is also involved in the Champions Series. So, hey, if things work out, they either partner up or they're against each other in the finals down the line.
Right.
But Missa Kate, she is also has a connection with Robert Anthony, Chicago area. She's young, but she's willing to learn.
Mm-hmm.
If she just listens to some of the people that are around her and does the right thing. I mean, you have Dr. Tom. If Dr. Tom comes up and tells you to do something and you've been wrestling less than 10 years or even more than 10 years.
Even more.
I'd be like, yes, sir.
Right.
Definitely. When you have people that have been in the business, if they tell you to do something, I'm pretty sure it will work. They're not looking to make you look stupid. They want to make you look better.
Right.
She can actually talk. I've seen some of her interviews. She can talk. She can play the goody two-shoe, but she can also play the bad girl if need be.
That's right. Yeah. She's got a great street rat character, as we used to call it back in the day, right?
So it's depending on where they want her to go and who they want her to work with. They're signing these people looking towards the future.
Right.
That if they're willing, I have no idea what they're getting paid. It's none of my business.
Right.
But let's just say they get for a year contract that they make $25,000.
Okay.
That's just over $2,000 a month, whether you're wrestling or not. They will be looked at and evaluated every 6 months, I believe.
Yep.
So you can either go up or down. I don't think they'd cut their pay, but they they're like, okay, you need to work on this, this, and this.
Right.
It's giving them something to work towards that they can be bumped up. Maybe, hey, we'll bump you up an extra $5,000. To some people, I have no idea what they make on the independents. It's none of my business. I've never really asked a wrestler. I know back in the day, it's, we get a couple hundred, or we get this, or we get this. Hot dog and a handshake.
That's right.
So I'm really talking about something that I have no strict knowledge of. I'm just throwing numbers out there.
Yeah, just to play around with, yeah.
But it gives you some idea of you can move up by doing well. And I'm not going to say that they're doing bad, but they may just need improvement. Mm-hmm. But with all the wrestlers that are currently on the roster, all the producers, you have a wealth of knowledge. So I don't think they're going to lead them down the wrong path.
Right.
Now, I had said about Joe and Missa, but also Kerry signed. Kerry is the World Junior Heavyweight champion. He has the legacy of his dad to go up, to live up to.
Right.
Kerry is only 21 years old. He has about another year and a half of college. And when I met him at a signing, and I believe it was at 74, I was talking with him. I'm like, well, how's college going? And he's like, it's going good. Got about a year and a half to 2 years, depending on what his wrestling schedule is. But he's making sure he's getting what he needs, that he's in the NWA.
Right.
He may be there just because of who his dad is. But he has improved vastly over the first couple times I saw him.
I agree.
He's a babyface because of who he is, his name.
Right.
But one of these days he needs to turn.
100%.
He just needs to. He just needs to get on the mic, and whether it's him losing a title or his dad doing something that cost him a big match. I'm here because of my name. That's how it started out, but that's not how it's going to finish.
Right.
And Canadian Destroyer to his dad. If that doesn't give him all the heat in the world, oh my God. And I mean, he's the nicest guy ever, but he's done gymnastics. He's done theater.
He has, yeah.
He knows
Cheering.
how to play the game. He knows what to do when he's in the ring. He knows what to do when he's on the mic. He's just young. He needs that experience. And I mean, he went from, I'm thinking, I know he's only 21. He wrestled a quote-unquote unsanctioned match either back in 2016 or 2017 when he was in high school with his dad and Robert Gibson.
Nice.
That I'm sure he wasn't wrestling the whole match, but he jumped in there, did his thing. He is a legacy. But it's one of these things he needs to just get the reps in. He wrestled about 35 times this past year. That's just doing NWA and some locals.
Right.
Some independents around. He lives in Bristol, Tennessee. So it's one of these things of, I believe his dad, whenever his dad gets booked. He tries to get Kerry booked as well. And if Robert Gibson isn't available, the Mortons have several tag teams or several tag team belts, titles that they hold or have wrestled. So it's one of these things. He's learning, but it's almost on-the-job training that he didn't want to be. Well, I don't know if he didn't want to be. He wasn't following in his father's footsteps because of who his father was until they started asking, does your son wrestle? It was to help out his father.
Interesting.
But all three of these wrestlers that have either signed or signed extensions are under the age of 30. Even if it's 1 or 2 years, it's building them up to build others up.
Right.
Because, I mean, you already have Kerry. He may not be the most experienced, but he holds a title. Anybody he wrestles gets a nudge up the ladder just by having a championship match with him.
Right.
Win, lose, or draw, hopefully everybody looks good.
Yeah. You know, it's great direction. And I can't think of, I mean, I don't have the thought into this that you do, but it is it's a perfect direction for both of them. I think you're absolutely right. Like the wealth of knowledge, as you called it, that's there right now. How like there's like something like 90 members of the team last time I checked on the talent roster.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm including managers and stuff that were still active. I don't know if some of them are like, is Joe Casio still around? I'm not sure, but there's a lot of people there. There's a lot of experience there, and you know the Tyruses, the Mortons, or like the Ricky Mortons, the what's his name, Aaron Stevens, guys like that. They can be used in this capacity, just tapped.
Oh yeah,
by these young folks. Just, can I ask you this? And I hope that it goes that way.
yeah.
Yeah. You know, and go ahead.
One question. What do you think of the wrestlers being in the crowd?
Okay, I meant to say something about this earlier. The first time around that it happened this past year, I didn't care for it. I honestly don't remember why. But this time around, man, I got to tell you, and maybe you're totally different, I dig it. Like, the energy level is so high. You got guys standing up going, oh my God, like, you know, like what, like it's a 2 count, you know, it's captains and co-captains, and they're just, oh, I can't, like, they can't do anything. They're watching it like fans, really energized fans. And I really liked it.
I do like that. I mean, as a team, you want to win, but it's, I mean, I keep going back to the strange bedfellows.
Right.
That you have heels, faces, tweeners, good guy, good girl, bad girl, whatever. They're having to work together for the betterment of their team. But I also like that they're showing emotion, that they're cheering for their team. They're booing against the other person. That, I mean, when they're zooming in on Pollo, I'm like, she was about losing it, having to cheer for Team Brickhouse, but also not cheer for Thrillbilly.
Right.
It's tearing you. It's where your allegiance lie.
Right.
It's okay for the betterment of our team. I have to do this, but in my heart, I'm not feeling it.
Right.
I'm liking this, and I mean, I don't mind them having the wrestlers as the crowd. It also shows it's a human side to them. And I mean, some of the times they're zooming in. I mean, like Tyrus may not be paying attention, even though somebody on his team is wrestling. And then, oh my God, what happened? I wasn't paying attention. It's not somebody that you would normally watch and cheer on.
Right.
So you almost forget, oh my God, that guy's on my team.
Yeah. And I said it earlier. I loved his expression when Rolando won. He just went,
He was like, what? Yep.
And like you said, Pollo and Brickhouse, that's so important, that what you were just saying, Lou saying, by the way, you always come prepared. He respects that. Me too. So there's a downside to it as well, and that if you're in the crowd, you've got to be on.
Yeah.
There is a moment that I'm sure only I saw. Jay Bradley's on his phone, and he's a front row. He's the captain, and he's like this during a match. It only happened once, but it was caught on film, and I was like, that's not cool, man. You got somebody in the ring right now. That's one of your guys or girls in there, and I thought that was not in sync with the character. If it were Jack Stain, just I don't care, that would work. You've got to be on. I two things I wanted to add when you said that. One is that during the interview part this week, Kylan King had a Fixer's jersey on. I think it was Legursky's. No, it was Bradley's, I think, because of the number. And I thought it would be really cool, because it looks like they tried to do something with the lights to separate them. It didn't really translate well on camera. I lost my focus there. It would be great if there were shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would cost the NWA so little to have Team Fixers, Team Gold, whatever, and everyone's wearing it.
I mean, if they do like football jerseys or something like that, then they could actually sell that at the pay-per-views whenever they.
You're a Clearwater guy. You want a Team Gold shirt, and it's gold. It would be easier. USA, red, white, and blue for the Fixers, right?
Yep.
I think it would be pretty. Tyrus is green or whatever, and it would be. You could really separate them. Also, I thought when the lights weren't translating well for me, it looked like they tried to do gold and blue, and I'm trying to see, I'm like, who's that in the back row? Is that, oh, it's Polka Dot Pam. So, stuff like that. It would be, I don't know how in a studio environment, how it could work, because obviously they got the hard cam, and they avoid shooting one side of the ring or more. But I would like to see, rather than just chairs against one side in a bit of the ring, I would like to see 4 areas, even a little bleacher kind of situation for each team to separate them.
Yep.
And if you could film it that way, to have somebody at each at the ring post, that might be cool.
Yeah.
Just separating them and giving them a more visual thing there.
Well, fingers crossed. Hopefully they're listening and they do this down the line. I mean, I'll pass some of the stuff along, but I mean, whatever connects the teams more.
Right.
That, I mean, if they have a Fixers flag come out, or Team Fixers, or, I mean, the jerseys, that's a great idea. Or even if they just do T-shirts.
Yeah.
I mean, WWE used to do, when they have, a Survivor Series, they come out in blue shirts. We're SmackDown, Team SmackDown. Do that with these teams. Even if you have T-shirts, I mean, T-shirts would sell. Come up with a logo. We're Team Fixers. Boom. $15, $20, you could sell those.
Or if there's a live crowd, have them come out. Have them come out as a team, even if they don't look cohesive, by their facial expressions or whatever. That's just part of this whole deal here. They got the same T-shirts, or they got the flag. introduce them all. And you made a point earlier in the show, have it go longer. Like you were saying, have this go down the road. We're already looking at eliminations, right? Like it's already happened. And I know you don't want to do this forever as the NWA, but have it go longer and have it mean more and build more stuff out of it. But Joe Alonzo and Missa Kate to wrap them both back in, they would be great additions to this. There's going to be I know a great future for both of them. And yeah, while they lack that seasoning, they really have that. Both of them have that it factor. And I know I said this earlier in the show, but like I think Missa Kate is so underrated even right now in the NWA.
Mm-hmm.
Like I look back at the last anytime I see a Power or USA taping or even a last pay-per-view, she is a shining star for whatever match that she's in. She can work.
Mm-hmm.
So great to see them, and I hope that future comes up. We've been talking. Media had said for Joe Alonzo about 5'10" and 190 maybe. Jay had said that he really likes Missa and Maddie as a tag team. More tag team wrestlers. We talk about all the time. Female tag team wrestlers, a women's tag. Sean Mega, good to hear from you, sir. Too many heels. I think that's when we were talking about Kerry making a heel turn at somewhere down the road. Well, we'll send somebody else face for a while. But I agree. There is a heel. The scale does tip in that direction a lot. And much respect from Lou for the work that you do. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it.
No problem.
That is, with Jeremy not being here, that has not made us go any quicker, has it?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm usually under the clock on a Wednesday night. I'd do something after this, but I didn't have that tonight. So I enjoyed talking to you and all of you guys in the chat. Tell us where we can find you online and beyond Twitter, even, Dave.
Both Twitter and Instagram. It's at Dave Scooby, like the dog. Just hit me up. Not sure about doing TikTok. I'm feeling my age, so I'll probably try to do a little more video work for Instagram and post some stuff there. But like I've said before, if you have any ideas about fantasy booking, whether it be older NWA or the current Lightning One NWA, just hit me up. Let me know.
Fantastic. I think Lou's going to write something about a quick former champ update. Yep, he is. Quick former champ update. Nick Aldis versus Davey Richards for Glory Pro this Sunday afternoon at the historic South Broadway Athletic Club. Boy, is it ever. Jim Londos and Randy Orton both had rookie matches there in St. Louis.
Cool.
Nice. I hope you get to see it. That would be tremendous. What I love being a Canadian, but boy, does it take me out of the market from seeing the NWA in its current form live. So enjoy if you're going to see that. We miss our friend Jeremy. He's at HJWOTS on Twitter, only Twitter, although he does have a growing YouTube page that he's beginning to grow. He's going to be doing interviews. He'll be back with us next week. We are, of course, part of alliance-wrestling.com, and at the Alliance blog is where the mothership is. Jay notes that he puts silly videos up on TikTok, the best dad jokes and puns that you'll ever find if you follow Jay. A bit more serious on Instagram, but in basically the same videos at the Alliance blog. He is on our banner here as well. So tomorrow night, but not next week, I'm told by the boss, Tomorrow, Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. The Alliance guys, the OG, J. Kyle and Jaden. I think DKM is off for the month. So we'll see if Jay's got a third host or if it's just Jay and Jaden bringing you the details on Power and a lot of really interesting NWA talk. The 2023 finale for them, or 2022 finale next week. You know what, Jay? I'm spitballing right now. We're doing it live. Maybe we should all do like a year in review thing. That'd be fun. But we'll talk about that offline. So they're on here tomorrow night, 8 Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and of course the flagship program, the vanguard of the Alliance wrestling family, the pre-party with Jay himself, 5 p.m. on Tuesdays, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. That sweet hour before the sweet power. Hey, listen, thanks to all you guys for joining. I'll do one last plug for this. Follow me on Twitter. Win this thing. I don't care where you live in this world. If you have a post office, I will ship it to you. I am rebranding from NWA Gold as a name. I say this respectfully. Some people think I'm trying to rebrand the 10 pounds of gold. I'm not. I'm not looking for you to rename the belt. I'm looking for you to rename NWA Gold as a site, or brand is overstating it, but for lack of a better word, I'm looking for a new name to get the NWA out. Jay's good for a year in review. We'll talk about that. So I'm at NWA Gold _. If you choose the name, if I select the name that for what I'm going to be moving forward in 2023 from what you offer, this is yours, man. This is coming to you. We've given away belts. Some of the guys that are in the chats, we've given away all kinds of stuff over the years. So it's legit, and you have until the 28th of December to do that. That's it, and that's all. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Dave, and thank you, Jay, for letting us steal your intellectual platform once again. So, as I try to do this gracefully, until next time, we'll see you at the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.
Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into The Alliance Blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.